Good morning and welcome to the Good Life Podcast, a place where we can come together to seek God's truth, talk about our faith, and encourage one another in our walk with Christ. I'm your host, Tyler King, and whether you're driving to work, doing some chores around the house, or just needing a moment of peace in your day, we're so happy to have you with us. Today, I'm joined by Grant Morgan, so he can share some of his plans as he moves into the role of involvement minister. Grant, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Yeah, what's new in your life?
Lots. Started a new job the last couple of months here at the church. So that's new.
Been golfing any?
I have not been golfing since last year.
Well, this is such a privilege to have a PGA Tour player in our midst.
Not quite.
No, but played golf in college and still play golf pretty adamantly.
Yeah, it comes and goes. I usually start off the summer playing a little bit, and then as the year goes on, it kind of fades away, especially when it gets cold. I've become one of those golfers where it's like, oh, it's not nice weather. I don't need to be out there.
So when I moved here, and I didn't really golf much in Colorado, it was just way expensive because all the golf courses up there are not all of them, but most of them are super nice. And so like a green fee plus cart to get on, $150. And so that's just not in the realm of a 20-year-old.
Yeah.
And so just didn't play much in Colorado. And when I moved out here, obviously things are way cheaper because it's Oklahoma. And I remember asking you, do you still play when it's like 105, 110 degrees outside? And your response was, oh yeah, that's the best time to play. Crazy.
Yeah, I prefer to play when no one else is out there because, 105 degrees, not a lot of people are out there. I can go play and get done. I don't like to be out there for 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
But I also don't play as much as I would probably want because I am cheap. I don't like to spend the money to play. Growing up, you're on a golf team, you get to play for free. And so once I was done with college and no longer had that free golf, I was like, oh, I don't like paying.
I didn't even think about that. When you're in college, you could. So where would you practice?
We had multiple places around town.
Okay. And that was all included in the kind of program?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so nice. Well, I've got a net in my garage and I swing at the net. I heard Tiger Woods also had a net in his garage too. So
that's how he started.
I've got some dreams.
Yeah. You're the next Tiger.
At 30 years old. Tiger may have had some years on me, but
he was 4 at the time when he started. So you're a little behind.
But that means that if I'm like 64, maybe I'll be on the tour.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Go for it. You got the senior tour out there. Once you hit 50, you can be on the senior tour.
I know. I give my father-in-law, Wes, a ton of grief. We played that one time. He shows out and he's got his whole club set and he doesn't use a single driver. He's just irons out there. We were at James E. Stewart, so not a big course, but it's like, all right, show off. Senior games.
Well, the secret to being a good golfer is sometimes not having the clubs that are going to get you in trouble.
Yep. Well, thanks for coming on the podcast. I'm obviously still getting over something, so I apologize if I cough or anything like that. Clear something up. It was weird. So last Wednesday, I told you, wasn't feeling great. Went home, slept, came to the office on Thursday. Jeremy came into my office while my head was on my desk, and he said, just go home. Okay. I'm pretty resistive to going home. But I also know that no one wants to be around someone who's sick. So I go home and I just go straight to bed. And it's like 11 o'clock. I wake up at 5 p.m. One of those weird things where you go to sleep, you missed lunch, you wake up and you're like, I don't know if I'm hungry for lunch or hungry for dinner. I don't know if I'm even hungry in the first place.
You don't even know what time it really is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just totally thrown off of equilibrium in the day. And then Amazon ordered some tests because I'm too cheap to go to the doctor. So got a flu test and a COVID test and a few other tests, and they all came back negative. And so that was shocking. So running 102-degree fever, body aches, sore throat, coughing, sneezing. I mean, I don't know if allergies can give you a fever, but if that's the case, that was crazy.
Didn't you go to Panera Bread to get soup?
I did.
I think Jeremy said, if you're going to Panera Bread to get soup, that means you're sick.
Yeah, that's when you know you're sick, is when you're at Panera. So, but we're back. Hopefully we can get this, published by Monday morning. It's currently Thursday, so we've got time. So Grant, I wanted to kind of just go over a few things. I know that I'm still new here, having only been here for about 2.5, 3 years. I don't know when the new factor comes off when you're a new member somewhere, but I feel like 5 years is about that time. North Mac is also a very interesting congregation too, because as many people have mentioned, you have the different pockets of the auditorium.
Yep.
So you could sit over on the north side for 10 years and then go visit the south side of the auditorium and be a whole new member.
Right.
And so that's very interesting. It's also a struggle when you start getting more involved with worship services like preaching or teaching or leading singing or scripture reading, because then people start to recognize you. They start to recognize your name, and then you're still stuck with having to memorize 650 names.
Yeah.
So that can be a struggle. So basically today I just wanted to walk through a little bit of your story and then kind of touch on at the end, what is your new role here? We just sat down with Jeremy last week and talked about, all right, now that he's phasing out of youth ministry, what is his new role as outreach minister? And kind of along with that, I know there's been talk about some of his job description being congregational planning. Well, what does that mean? Congregational planning. So with you involvement minister, we'll talk about what all that entails. But first, I just wanted to ask, so tell me your faith story or your church story. Did you grow up in the church? Were your parents members of the church? And that's just kind of how you got to know your faith. And then you went to OC, correct?
That is correct, yeah.
So just kind of run the gamut on all of that.
Okay, yeah, I'll try to see how detailed I get and how summarized I make this. Grew up in the church, grew up in Cushing, Oklahoma. It's about an hour from here. Gary will tell you, he's told many people he was there when I was born because Gary was the preacher in Cushing back in the 80s. So there are a few people that actually I know from the Cushing times that actually attend here now. But so grew up in the church in Cushing, Oklahoma. My parents both grew up in the church as well. My both grandparents, one was, I think they were both elders in the church. So kind of on both sides of the family had a good, strong Christian background.
And are they all from Oklahoma?
So my dad's side of the family was Texas Panhandle, Oklahoma Panhandle, Kansas area, And then my mom's side was all from Oklahoma City.
Okay.
Yeah. So, my mom's side, granddad was elder over at Mayfair Church of Christ back when we had a Mayfair Church of Christ.
Yeah.
And then, the dad's side was from Texas Panhandle. So grew up Church of Christ, grew up in both sides of the family, kind of having a strong background there. So both parents went to Oklahoma Christian. That's where they met. And so kind of whenever college started coming around, my goal was to play golf somewhere. And so I started, sending letters to golf coaches to find out where could I get a scholarship? Where could I play? The golf coach at OC called me up, said, hey, come tour our campus and kind of check things out. So went, visited the campus, played a round of golf with some of the golf team. And so they were able to give me a little bit of a scholarship to play there. And I wasn't sure if that's what I wanted. I still wanted to keep my options open. My parents seemed to think it was dead set on it. And I just kind of okay, well, it seems like it all fits. So I went to OC, not necessarily for the school, not necessarily with any direction as to what I was going to be doing in school. I just wanted to play golf. So,
and was that something that you had picked up in high school?
Like the golf side of it?
Yeah.
So my dad loved golf, and then that was kind of how we spent our time together. It's like, it's the weekend. I'm going to go out to the golf course with my dad and play. And so that's just kind of what we did. In Cushing, there's not a lot to do.
Yeah.
And so when you have a golf course, and that's the best way to stay out of trouble is to be busy, we just grew up being golfers. So always played in high school, was on the high school team. We won the state championship. So had some success in high school, not a lot, but a little, enough to get me a little bit of a scholarship in college. So so that was my focus. I thought, I'm going to be a PGA professional. That was my mindset. And I really thought, when you get to college, I'm going to be only playing golf, because in high school I played basketball. I played baseball through growing up. So I was always other stuff. And so I thought, once I focus only on golf, I'm really going to get good. Not realizing college is busy.
Yeah.
The exact opposite happened. Life happened. And I was like, I don't have time to play golf. So once I got to college, I realized, I need to figure out what I'm going to do with the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where I would say, spiritually not the most mature person at OC. I was baptized in middle school and just kind of coasted my spiritual life early on. And probably, I'd say, as far as spirituality goes, I didn't start maturing until after I was married. I was more of a attend church, do the right thing type Christian, and not really get too in depth on my knowledge and my maturity and growing.
So do you think that was Vanessa's influence on you, or just your realization of you're now a husband and there's an obligation kind of be the spiritual leader, and
I think
a lot of things going into that?
A little bit mixture of both. I mean, Vanessa obviously is a big influence. She's a good Christian woman. So the fact that we were there together in that situation, like she was helpful in that. I think a lot of it also was once I went to Oklahoma Christian, I was constantly in bigger congregations where it's easy to just blend in the back. Attended Memorial Road for a while, attended Edmond Church of Christ for a while. I just kind of would go, and it'd be easy to just kind of not be involved, which is the downside of a big congregation. It's easy to just show up, not really get much out of it other than I'm there. And so when we got married, shortly after we got married, we started attending Cherokee Hills, smaller congregation. And it almost, I think that along with being married, I'm a husband, I need to be a more mature person, helped me grow. Because, you go to a smaller congregation, you're almost not forced to grow, but you do need to start stepping up a little bit more. You're more involved. There's more required of you. You start teaching classes because there's not a lot of people there to teach. And actually, the preacher at the time was Steve Schinnerer, Bear Valley grad, who his teaching of classes and preaching was very I'd say even helped me get more interested in it. Just because, it wasn't your typical, I don't know, sometimes when you're younger, everything just seems like, not boring, but it's just monotonous sometimes. And he's a little bit more dynamic in his teaching that kind of inspired me to start digging a little bit deeper, I think.
Yeah. So coming out of college, so you met Vanessa at OC?
No, she went to UCO. We actually met a year after I graduated, and she graduated about the same time. So she went to UCO, I went to OC, hadn't met. And I was at Memorial Road in a young professionals class and kind of working with that in that group. And so she had showed up one day. Actually, I was hosting a Bible study at my house. I was kind of different. I had a house when I was 22, bought my first house right out of college. Thought, I don't need an apartment. I need to go ahead and start building some equity in a home. Yeah. And so I started hosting one of the Bible studies for the group there. And somebody brought her to our Bible study just to meet some of the people in the group. And she thought, oh, this old guy, he must be old. He owns his own house. Right. And, so she didn't really think anything about it, but that's where we first met, is at Memorial Road.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
And then Vanessa's side, she's up from, where's she from?
She grew up here in Bethany, Oklahoma City. Her parents grew up going to Cherokee Hills. Her grandparents were at Cherokee Hills.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, she has deep roots at Cherokee Hills.
So then...
And that's where, once we got married, we actually moved to that part of town shortly after we got married. And so we were still driving up to Edmond to go to church, and we're like, it's hard to be involved when you're driving 35 minutes to church. And so we're like, let's look closer to where we're living, which Cherokee Hills is right down the road. So that's what she was familiar with. So it made a pretty easy transition. So yeah, about 2007 is when we started at Cherokee Hills.
Okay. And then you've got 3 boys.
Yep.
All from Ethiopia.
All adopted from Ethiopia.
How did you get turned to Ethiopia? Just through the adoption agency, or?
I'll try to do the short version, but it's all, we always like to say, God had a big hand in how our boys came about our family. Yeah. For right away, Vanessa she's had some in her side of the family, some international adoption through her aunt that she was exposed to, that she really liked to see how their family was formed. And so she always had this idea that eventually I'd like to consider adoption. And so when we first got married, we decided let's build our family through adoption.
Oh, cool.
And International adoption was kind of what we had information on. It's what we knew. And so we started looking at what countries can we adopt from. Well, young and married, a lot of countries won't let you adopt.
Really?
Yeah. We initially started looking at like China and a few Asian countries because that's where her cousins were adopted from. And most of them require you to be married for 10 years, 30 years old minimum.
Wow.
Yeah, they are strict.
I guess just stable.
Yes,
Probably...
they want stable. They want to put kids in stable families. And so we literally just said, what countries will accept this? There was a small country called the Gambia in Africa that just started adoptions. And so we were the second couple from the United States in line to adopt from there. And after the first adoption went through, both their country and our country is like, we don't like the way this went. They just shut it down. And so
that didn't last long.
And so our agency looked around and said, Ethiopia is a stable adoption history. They accept young couples. So that just became what we could do. And then through a lot of different things, each child actually kind of just happened to end up matching with us through very unusual ways. It wasn't your typical sit in a waiting list and wait for a child. It's hard to sit and try to summarize it into a time where we have time, but each child actually had a unique way that we became connected with them. That just kind of shows you it's like, okay, because each adoption, we didn't say we're only adopting from Ethiopia. In fact, after our first one, we're just like, we'll be open to anything. And it just, things lined up to where it's like everything kept happening to where another child got matched up with us.
Oh, wow.
So kind of unique, kind of neat story.
Was that your first kind of international exposure is going over to Ethiopia?
Neither one of us had been out of the country, and Ethiopia was our first time leaving the country, which was interesting to say the least.
Well, and this was back, what year was this?
So our first trip over was 2010.
Okay. Yeah.
And so we took our first trip and met Denver on his birthday. So it actually would have been 2011 because he was born 2010.
Okay. Wow.
So his first birthday is the first time we met him.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
How old was Mulliken when you...
So our oldest Mulliken was 14 when we adopted him.
Okay.
So Seifu was 11. So we went a little off the norm. We adopted a 1-year-old first. Then we adopted 2 teenagers. Don't typically want to do that. They told us not to. The agency, they highly suggested you don't adopt out of birth order, which there are good reasons for that. And we dealt with some of those reasons and issues that come along with that, but it obviously has worked out well.
Yeah.
And, we wouldn't change it for anything. So, but it was definitely a different way because, Denver is our youngest, but he was also our first child.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, in some of those African countries, I mean, I don't know if Ethiopia is this way, but when I first visited Tanzania in 2017, early 2017, definitely third world country.
Right.
They have a city, you've got places like Arusha and you've got Mount Kilimanjaro out there. And so there's a natural touristy feel to the bigger cities. But even then, the bigger cities, they're kind of, classified as the second world country where it's not quite first world, but it's not quite third world. It's somewhere in between. And then you go out into some of the villages and it's like, okay, we're definitely in third world where no electricity, no running water. You've got a lot of ponds and lakes out there, and you've got some water towers where people can get some water. And then I went back and visited a couple years later, and things had just exploded. I mean, the technology boom. You're watching very traditional tribes walk around Kisango, Tanzania, little tiny village with iPhones.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, just how fast things had progressed. So I'm assuming 2011, 2012, Ethiopia was probably not there yet. It
was crazy to see the change from being there in 2011. It was everything I expected a third world country to be.
Yep.
It's like dirt roads everywhere. No one had smartphones. There's no traffic laws. It was just chaos in the streets and just old buildings. Nothing American was there whenever in 2011. Like no American restaurants. It was very much like another country.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you go to some countries now and it's like, oh, I feel like I'm still in America.
Right. Yeah. You see the KFC over there and you're like,
yeah.
Okay.
But, we've made 9 trips now, I think is how many times we've been to Ethiopia. And each trip, it gets more modern and it's just exploded. And I think at one point, I don't know if they still are, they were the fastest growing, the capital was the fastest growing city in Africa, like as far as technology and everything. And so like now you go back and there's like new buildings, new highways, street lights now. They have a Pizza Hut. I think they might have gotten a KFC. Or there's another American restaurant that is now there, but yeah, I remember when the Pizza Hut got there, it's just like, oh, wow, they've got an American restaurant now.
Well, I saw something online, which we went up to Kingfisher to go see Josh and Madeline with their new baby, and we were looking around, and there's not a whole lot in Kingfisher. I mean, at least on the main strip when you're up there, and when you're an outsider, you don't know all the little restaurants, the mom and pops that are great. And Reagan was crying in the back seat. It was 8:30 at night, so it's like, we just need something quick and on the road, so we went to KFC. It's my first time eating KFC in like 5 years. Probably my last time eating KFC for the next 5. But I saw something online that said there are more international KFCs than there are domestic KFCs at this point.
And I don't know if you've seen them internationally, but they look a lot nicer than they do here. Like we were in New Zealand a couple of months ago, and the KFCs there, I'm like, I really want to go in because
they look nice.
They look so nice, and I was like, they look good. It's like they look like tempting, but I was like, I'm in New Zealand, I can't eat KFC in New Zealand. I've got to have local food. But yeah, it was tempting.
yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. So I think one of the most impressive things was, I mean, obviously hearing much of your story, there's a lot to be impressed with, and I know that you would give glory to God with all of that, and you're thankful to Him. I still think that when we're able to submit our lives to Him and watch what He can do, it's always just so impressive. But when all of this transition was happening with Jeremy, and then with Kyle announcing that he was going to be moving up to Memorial, which that's all on good terms. No one is mad at each other. I mean, I don't think there's ever been rumors of that, but that's all been very, very good for everybody. We still talk to Kyle occasionally, and we call him loser and traitor and everything else. But when you initially heard about Kyle leaving, and there was just kind of this question mark of, okay, now what do we do with Kyle's job? As we're dividing it up and kind of spreading it out, if I remember correctly, you had kind of voiced interest in it, and then Tim and Jeremy met with you for breakfast.
Yeah, that's kind of how things worked out. And I would say even going back earlier in the year, I'd already decided I want to start looking into doing something ministry related. Me and Vanessa have constantly talked about at some point we want to do more mission work. We want to do something, whether it be working with a children's home. We've done a lot with Timothy Hill Ranch over the years. We've tried to work out where we can work with them. Hasn't quite worked out with our life situation, but we still keep that on the back burner. Like, this is something we want to do at some point, or become missionaries at some point. We've even met with some missionaries before about like our life situation to see like what they would suggest us do. Because, with our kids, and it's like, when do you move kids? When do you not move kids? And we were advised, when your kids are teenagers, it's not the best time to move, especially into the mission field.
Yeah.
And so we'd kind of been pushed away, like not pushed, but like it's almost kind of like a warning, like, hey, if you do, here's some things to be concerned with. And so our life has never really worked out to where we've been able to fully dive into missions or ministry. And I kept kind of trying to push the door open. And I finally, at the beginning of this year, just said, I'm just going to be open to let the door open for it instead of trying to force it open. And so I started at the beginning of this year really focusing on just, growing spiritually, praying a lot more, studying a lot more, and just kind of being open to when opportunities arise, which is then you invite me to play golf with Wes, and suddenly I'm now being presented with being a coordinator for Bear Valley International School. And so that kind of started opening the door to, okay, here's some things you can do while still in this time of your life. And I'd already had some discussions at the beginning of the year with Kevin about, I'm kind of starting this journey, and I can feel things are something's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Even though nothing had happened, I could just tell something was on the horizon. I was like, I feel like something ministry related's coming up. I don't know what it's going to be. And he's like, so are you saying you're moving? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know what it is. I'm just know that I'm going to be open to when it comes. I'm going to be ready for it. And so I'd already kind of been talking to Kevin, and this is back probably last March. And so before I'd even started with the South Sudan school with Bear Valley. And so then that came up, and and it's still going good. And so when Kyle announced that he was stepping away, I just kind of immediately thought, I wonder what's going to happen with everything he was doing, because he did quite a bit.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of sent out a message, just an inquiry. I was like, do you guys know what you're going to do with his position? I knew Jeremy was kind of in the process of maybe stepping down and doing something different in his ministry that you guys already discussed. And so I was like, is Jeremy going to take over everything Kyle's doing, or what's going to happen? And so I just kind of inquired about it. And that's about the same time they were already apparently talking that who was going to step into the role of involvement minister. And my name had already been put up. I didn't realize it at the time, but apparently it kind of all worked together. But I never really voiced, other than to a couple of elders, that I would be interested in it. But then multiple people came up and was like, hey, if Kyle's job comes up open, you should apply for it. And I was like, okay, so I'm not the only one thinking this. So it kind of just one of those things where it's just kind of all started fitting together.
Well, and it's so funny when they announced it that Sunday. I mean, the last couple of weeks at North Mac have just been crazy. Well, the last couple of months have been crazy. Just a lot of moving, a lot of transition, sickness, people getting sick and not being in the office. There's just been a lot going on the last few months. Well, that Sunday when they announced that you were taking over as involvement minister, the college group, we're over on the other side of the building. They like to talk and hang out. And so it's really hard to get in the auditorium exactly at 10 a.m. So we're usually meandering in at like 10:03, 10:04. Well, at that point, they'd already announced that you were taking over. So I missed the announcement. And then afterward, I've seen all these people come up to you and say congratulations. And I'm thinking, what in the world are they congratulating you on? Like, what's going on? Did you win the lottery? Like, what's the congratulations for? And then that's when I had found out that you had taken the role and gotten the role for involvement. So ministry is weird because it takes many different forms. You've got youth ministry, college ministry, pulpit. I mean, that's kind of a weird way of saying, because I know Tim is so much more than just preaching.
Right.
He's visiting and spending time with people. But then involvement, you're dealing a lot with kind of some of the admin stuff, as well as just, checking in on people and organizing people.
Yeah.
And it's such a valuable ministry because if you don't have that, you slip back into the routine of these big churches of it's really easy to walk in, sit on the back pew, and then walk right out.
Yeah.
And I think your experience with some of the bigger congregations and then going to Cherokee Hills will really play an excellent role in, your development of involvement, because you know what it's like to be kind of a cruise control Christian, where it's really easy just to go along with the process. In North Mac, we're a big church. I mean, I think anything over, goodness, I mean, this is Colorado speaking, but I think anything over 300 is a big church.
Right.
And so I think that's going to play really well into your expertise with this, and then as you continue to develop that.
Yeah. And I think kind of coming, even though I've been with bigger congregations for a good portion of my younger Christian life, going to Cherokee Hills, having to be involved with so much there and actually growing through that small church, and now coming back to a bigger church, kind of, I think, is an interesting perspective, because we get a lot of new members here that are coming from smaller congregations.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of interesting to see, coming from Cherokee Hills, how do I get involved in a big church? I'm coming from a place where I'm leading singing every other week. I'm like, if there's something to be done, like on a service project or something, if we're not there, then it's the same group doing almost everything at a small church. So there's like a group of probably 10 of us that were doing the community breakfast and clothing giveaway. That were going to do this service project. The church is run by not run, but it's everybody that's doing everything is the same group of people.
Yeah.
And so coming to a bigger congregation, it's like, oh, how am I going to get involved when there's so many people?
Right.
It's like, and so we kind of had to find our way into how that works in a bigger congregation, which, I mean, there's plenty of ways to be involved. In fact, that's one thing that surprised me is there's so many different ministries and different opportunities at a big congregation that there's so much more resources that you can be involved if you want to be.
Yep.
You have, it's not one of those where it's like, oh, there's nothing for me to do. No, there's plenty to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's just you have to be willing to do it. And so it's kind of, I feel like I have a good perspective of being in a bigger congregation where I could easily hide under the radar and not do anything, to going to a small congregation where you were expected to do a lot.
Yep.
To now being back in a bigger congregation. How do you make that transition?
I remember in California, there was a congregation that I'd visited up in the northern part of the state. And the preacher there said, yeah, we're a smaller congregation, but sometimes it feels like we're trying to be a bigger congregation. So small church trying to act like a big church.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think the opposite is true with North Mac. We're a big church that sometimes tries to be a small church.
Right.
And that's not a bad thing all the time. It's just that we've got to deal with the logistics side of things of, okay, if we're going to do some of the things that small churches do, get people involved, push people out of their comfort zones, get people in each other's homes and get people involved in Bible studies, then there's got to be some sort of direction for that. And there's got to be some sort of leadership over that.
Yeah.
And so for North Mac, I think the role of involvement minister is super valuable. I know sometimes it feels like days just spent on planning center, but I think there's so much to it in terms of, I don't know, getting people involved.
Right. And starting off with involvement minister at the time I did, it was probably not the best time to do it because,
crazy time.
One thing, going back to the announcement of it, I don't think it was done on purpose, but I was like, I kind of wish they would have let people know this is a part-time job because a lot of people have assumed I'm just here full-time.
Yeah.
And so that I'm going to be able to drop anything I'm doing. I'm like, no, I'm still have another job on the side that I'm still working.
Mm-hmm.
And coming in the time I did, we have Affirming the Faith coming up. I'm heavily involved with getting things done for that. We got new deacon appointments coming up, which I'm doing a lot of the grunt work on getting stuff done so the elders can find out who our next deacons will be. And so between those two things, I'm like, man, once these are over, I can actually focus on my real job of involvement.
Right.
It's like, those are my real job, but it's almost like the perfect storm of these two huge things that I'm responsible of helping with are almost overshadowing the day-to-day involvement things I will be doing once those get passed.
Yeah. North Mac definitely runs in seasons.
Yeah.
You've got Affirming the Faith season. You've got, BK reorganization season with all the new BK groups and getting that off the ground. Summer is an entire season of itself, just with all the camps and VBS and all of that. There's so much going on at North Mac, which again, I don't think we could do it without an involvement. I know we couldn't do it without an involvement minister.
Got VBS season, which I'm glad I'm not going to be
there you go.
doing much with.
All Ryan's world.
Yes.
So let him deal with that. Well, thank you so much, Grant. We're at about 35 minutes, so I appreciate you taking the time and as a part-time minister, appreciate you taking the time and sitting down and kind of running through your story. I think it's an inspiring one, and I think it's something that a lot of people could learn from. And hopefully this has been beneficial to anyone who's listening. And if you're still here with us, appreciate it. Until next time, adios.
Thank you.